Hey guys, Beta 1 Studios right here with another very interesting After Effects tutorial, and today we're going to be covering some basic functions that you can do with a displacement map right inside of After Effects. So what exactly is a displacement map? Well, what it allows you to do is, say you've just created this super cool animation or video, using a displacement map will let you use your super cool animation as an overlay for a distortion. Now, you can then put this distortion on top of other footage or other animations too. And the best part is, with even the most basic knowledge of how displacement maps work, you can create some really interesting and complex effects. This is some pretty exciting stuff, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here we are inside of After Effects, and you can take a look at the sample footage that I have here. This was actually a project I worked on over a year ago now, actually. And it's just a 3D watch animating in space. So we're going to apply a displacement map of an animation that we create to this sample footage. But it's probably easier if I just show you what I mean. So let's go ahead and create a new composition. We'll name this composition map, just for the displacement map that we're going to be doing. Make sure that the duration of your composition matches the length of your footage. So in this case, my little watch footage here is 7 seconds long. So I'm going to make sure that my composition is also 7 seconds long to match this. We'll hit OK. And now what we're going to do is make a new solid to start off our animation. So at this point, you can do whatever animation you want, but in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a pattern distortion using a displacement map. There's actually a lot of different ways to do that too, but the way I'm going to be doing it today is with an effect called cell pattern. Let's go up to Effects and Presets, type in cell pattern, and we'll drag that right onto our solid. And as I scrub through, you'll notice, oh no, nothing's happening to them. So never fear, evolution is here. So we'll set a keyframe at the beginning. Scroll all the way over to the end, and we'll change that evolution to 7 times over. So now it's going to be going at basically a regular speed. And you can see all the individual cells sort of jiggling around there. And this is a great way to create a sort of pattern-like effect. Now, one thing we want to do is bump up the contrast so that our distortion later on will be a bit clearer. We can play around with the disperse settings, which will actually make the cells come together or fall apart. And we can also alter the size of the cells. Perhaps I want to turn the disperse value down a little bit. And maybe make that size a little bit smaller. Alright, so right now we've got an interesting little effect in our composition. Now get this, I don't even have to render this out. I don't even have to save this as a video anywhere. I can simply leave it as it is and simply drag it into my other composition and use it for my displacement map. So let's take our map composition and drag it in. You'll notice you can't see it because right now my sample footage is right on top of it, so obviously you can't see it unless I hide that sample footage. Alright, so we are ready to create our displacement map. Let's hit Ctrl-Alt-Y for a new adjustment layer. And let's name it Displacement. Now, let's go up to Effects and Presets, type in Displacement Map. You'll see it right under the Distort folder, and let's drag it onto our adjustment layer. Now, here's the important part. You need to select the layer that the map will choose to distort our footage. So let's go to that drop-down and select Map, which was the name for our animation composition. And now, if we scrub through real quick, you'll notice there's a lot of bubbly distortion kind of going on. And that's the cool thing about it, because you can actually go back into your map composition and alter the settings of this pattern, and all of those settings will transfer back to the displacement map in the other composition. So as you can see, I just made the cells a bit larger, and when we go back to our displacement, you'll notice all of the distortions have become a bit larger to compensate for the size change. Now, we can also alter the horizontal and vertical displacement. As you can see, if I bump it up a little bit, it's going to shift the amount of distortion there is. So if we bump up the horizontal and vertical displacement, we'll get a whole lot of distortion. But hang on, looks like there's some leaking edges around here. Don't worry, you can always check the wrap pixels around setting in this edge behavior to sort of mirror the pixels that are already there so that it'll fill in most of the gaps. Now maybe you don't like this artificial fill-in, so maybe you don't want to check it, but that's always an option. Alright, so right now we have a very interesting displacement map going on, as you can see here. Now, I want to show you another example of how we can use displacement maps to create a sort of kaleidoscopic effect, if you will. So if we go back to our map composition, inside our cell pattern, we can change the cell pattern setting from bubbles to crystals. And I really like this effect when I'm doing displacement maps, because what it does is it actually gives you a bunch of these jagged edges to distort around. And if we go back to our footage here, you'll notice it's undergone some drastic changes, with the displacement now being around a crystal formation. And if we scrub through here, you'll notice that this distortion is unique because it's actively animating along with the footage, which is what I really like about displacement maps, because it gives you a certain degree of control over how you want to displace or distort your footage that you can't get from a lot of other distortion effects. Using a displacement map, you can actually create the distortion that you want to see and actually map it onto the footage that you have. I think that's the greatest benefit of using displacement mapping inside of After Effects. So that's about all I've got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it, and I will catch you guys next time.